Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Saurabh. Let us see this case. A patient came to your OPD with a complaint that her husband feels that her left eye appears smaller than the right. Of course, the next statement would have been that husband feels anything, I don't care. But anyways, she then observed in the mirror herself that the left pupil was looking smaller than the right. ओके खुद से ही अपने आप से उन्होंने ऑब्जर्व कर लिया एंड द डॉक्टर मस्ट बी सेइंग कि डायग्नोसिस भी खुद ही बता दो फिर इन द मिरर ओनली शी इज एबल टू नो दैट हर लेफ्ट पीपल इज स्मॉलर फाइन फिर ट्रीटमेंट भी गूगल से कर लें बट एनी हाउ शी इज मैरिड सो शी कैन डू एनीथिंग शी ऑल्सो नोटिस्ड that she sweats only in the right side. Means there is three things which is given in the question. First, that the husband feels that a left eye appears smaller. Sometimes husbands are right. So pupil is smaller. There is anisocoria. There is loss of sweating in the face of the left side. And if there is a mild ptosis, it appears to the person standing in front that the eye is looking slightly smaller, that is apparent enophthalmos. So this patient is mostly a left Horner's syndrome. You know the Horner syndrome, there is decrease in the sympathetic pathway. Sympathetic pathway is responsible for pupil dilatation, so pupil is smaller. Here the left pupil is smaller. There is partial ptosis because molar muscle is not acting. That also elevates the eyelid 1 to 2 millimeter. It appears that the eye has gone inside. The husband was not wrong. Difference in the color is mostly seen in congenital Horners. The iris is hypochromic, less color. There is absence of sweating because that is also supplied with sympathetic fibers. And there is loss of ciliospinal reflex. These are the classical features of Horner syndrome. And to understand a little bit more, the sympathetic pathway arises from the hypothalamus. The central pathway, it goes up till the C8, T1, T2, ciliospinal center of Budge. That is a central pathway. From that, the preganglionic comes to the superior cervical ganglion. That is a preganglionic. And the postganglionic passes through the cavernous sinus via internal carotid artery, goes into the eye, dilates the pupil, 1 to 2 millimeter of eyelid elevation by molar muscles, sweating of the face. Also, it is responsible for the color of the iris and ciliospinal reflex. So anywhere in this pathway, central, pre and post, if there is a lesion, there will be Horner syndrome. How to differentiate whether the lesion is central, pre and post? Only on the basis of clinical symptoms. If the patient has symptoms, central symptoms, like if the patient is difficult to walk, ataxia, like conditions like Wallenberg syndrome, lateral medullary syndrome, syringomyelia, central symptoms, then the central pathway must be affected. Preganglionic is important because it is passing through the pleura of the lung and there is a tumor, Pancoast tumor of the apex of the lung. In that, if the patient has Horner syndrome with Pancoast tumor, it mostly affects the preganglionic. Also chest trauma, bird trauma, chest trauma, these are involving the preganglionic. The postganglionic is passing through the cavernous sinus. So cavernous sinus syndrome or internal carotid artery aneurysms, that will affect the postganglionic. But the important point in postganglionic is, if the lesion is in postganglionic, the fibers of the sympathetic fibers are passing through the external carotid. So in central and preganglionic lesions, there is loss of sweating. But if there is a postganglionic lesion, the sweating fibers are going through the external carotid, means sweating is normal. There is loss of anhidrosis, means there is no anhidrosis in postganglionic. Sweating is normal if there is a postganglionic lesion. In the patient, it was left side, there was anhidrosis, loss of sweating. Means mostly the patient was having either central or pre, means it is preganglionic, either central or preganglionic. The patient was not having postganglionic. That we can tell from the symptoms. Now on the basis of drugs, there are 5 drugs by which you can tell whether the patient is having Horner's, and you can localize the lesion as well. One is apraclonidine, usually not used clinically, and in children so definitely not used because it crosses the blood-brain barrier. We are seeing the pupil dilatation effect in normalized central pre-post Horner syndrome. So I will tell you apraclonidine works by alpha receptors. In normal eyes, usually it does not cause pupil dilatation, but in Horner syndrome, there is upregulation of alpha receptors, so it will dilate the pupil in either of the three, in all the three Horner syndrome. Does not localizes. Cocaine works by the principle it prevents the reuptake of non-adrenaline from the local nerve endings. Means it increases the non-adrenaline. In normal eyes, it will cause pupil dilatation. But in Horner syndrome, the non-adrenaline is not secreted, so it will not be able to dilate the pupil. Does not localizes. In central pre-post, it does not dilate the pupil. Hydroxyamphetamine works at the local nerve endings. See, local nerve endings are where? Local nerve endings are in the postganglionic. It directly goes to the local nerve endings and releases the adrenaline, non-adrenaline from there. In normal, local nerve endings are normal, so it will dilate the pupil. In central and pre, the local nerve endings are normal, so it will dilate the pupil. In postganglionic, the local nerve endings are affected, so it's not able to dilate the pupil. So it is a localizing thing, localizing drug, dividing into either postganglionic or preganglionic. Phenylephrine and adrenaline will cause the same effect. Adrenaline, as we know, phenylephrine, as you know, they dilate the pupils. But in central, pre and post, because of loss of sympathetic activity, they should not dilate the pupil. Even in post, it should not dilate. But what happens, there is a supersensitivity, de-innervation supersensitivity, and de-innervation supersensitivity can occur only in the local fibers. So local nerve fibers are supersensitive that even dilute amounts of phenylephrine and adrenaline will cause paradoxical dilatation. So these are the effects of the drugs in the Horner syndrome. Our question was, we have noticed now, husband was right and wife is always right, that she was having a left preganglionic Horner syndrome. It is either preganglionic or central. It means it is before the superior cervical ganglion Horner syndrome that we have established because there was a loss of sweating of the left side. So in this preganglionic Horner syndrome, the question was which drug will dilate the left eye. As we can see over here, in preganglionic, the drug is dilating hydroxyamphetamine. Of the options which is given, will dilate. Of the options which is given, B will be the answer to the question. Usually apraclonidine is not used, should not be given in the options, but usually because clinically it is not used nowadays, and in children it is absolutely not used because it crosses the blood-brain barrier like brimonidine as well. Alright, so these were in short some of the points regarding Horner syndrome. Thank you for listening. Best wishes.